Let's read these verses from Genesis chapter 18. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind them. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." In that tent, God asked a question that still challenges and confronts every one of us. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Let's look at this story, and let's get 3 principles from the story and then apply them to our lives today. The first point is this: God's promise does not expire with time. Now, we saw in this story, God set a specific time for the promise to Sarah. He said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." In 1 year. God specializes in promises that look impossible. Things that we can't imagine a year from now, God has already planned for us. Another thought is this: delay is not denial. Just because Sarah was told she was going to have a baby, she had to wait. She wasn't pregnant at the time. She was 90 years old and had not been able to have children for 90 years. And then God says, in another year, you're going to have a child. Has God promised you something and you're still waiting on it? And delay doesn't mean that the promises aren't true. The Holy Spirit keeps our faith alive during these seasons of waiting. We hold on to God's promises, and the Holy Spirit gives us the gift of faith to hold on to them. God can reverse barren places. Barren is the term that we use for Sarah when she could not have a child. But God can reverse barren places, barren wombs, barren ministries, barren dreams, barren marriages, and barren hearts. As Sarah found out, the curse does not get the final word, but God does. The second thing that we can learn from this story is this: God's timing reveals God's control. In verse 14, the Lord said to Abraham, "At the appointed time, I will return to you." Heaven operates on divine timing. It's a very different sense of timing. And because it works on God's timing, it means God is in control in this time of God's promise that had not yet been fulfilled. And each one of us, in some ways, can relate to her because we also are living with God's promises that have not all been fulfilled. For 1 year, this last point actually speaks to us. God remains faithful even when our faith wavers. What does verse 15 say? But Sarah denied it, saying, "I did not laugh, for she was afraid." She was talking to God. She was lying face to face with God. God is greater than our moments of weakness. And this is grace. God doesn't need perfect faith. He doesn't need perfect Christians. He needs obedient Christians. You look at this story and you look at Sarah. Her age, 90 years old. You're past menopause. Her condition, But there is a 1-year delay in the promise. And then finally, it was something that was impossible. But God asked her to look at him instead of the circumstances. And he said, is anything too hard for God? I just want to remind you, nothing is impossible for God. Not your family, not your future, not your calling, not your healing, not our children, not your impossible situation. But with God, all things are possible. And I just want to remind you, you may be living in the not yet. God has promised. It may not have happened yet, but God has not forgotten his promise. The appointed time is still coming. And I guarantee you, because God is who he is, that one day you will also laugh. Nothing is impossible for God.